I work harder.
Turning around and a little bit of a ball.
Hey, we're hanging in. We're hanging in. We're hanging in there, right? Together, we're hanging in. We've confirmed a record number, so important, of circuit court judges, and we are going to be putting in a lot more. And they will interpret the law as written. And we've confirmed an incredible new Supreme Court Justice, a great man, Neil Gorsuch. Right? We've passed massive, biggest in history, tax cuts and reforms. You know, I don't use the word reform. There was a lot of reform, too, very positive reform. I don't use it. And when we were first doing it, I told everybody gathered, I said, just talk about tax cuts. People don't know what reform means. They think reform might mean it's going up. And I said, do tax cuts. How did he get in here, Matt? Boy. Okay. Just for the media, the fake news back there. They took very good care of him. They were very gentle. He was very obnoxious. It was only one person. So we have thousands of people here. So listen, tomorrow the headline will be protesters disturb the trouble. One person, folks, doesn't deserve a mention, doesn't deserve a headline. The headline tomorrow, disruptors of CPAC. One person, and he was very nice. We looked at him, he immediately left. Okay. Now, I've had it too often. You'll have one person, and you can hardly even hear. In fact, the biggest really disturbance are you people. You know why? He'll say something, nobody hears him, because there's some, and then the crowd will start screaming at him, and then all of a sudden we stop, and that's okay. You have to show your spirit, right? You have to show your spirit. It's true. So we passed the biggest tax cuts in the history of our country, and it was called Tax Cut and Reform. And I said to our people, don't use the word reform, because we're going to call it the Tax Reform Act. I said, no wonder for 45 years nothing's been passed. Because people want tax cuts, and they don't know what reform means. Reform can mean you're going to pay more tax. So I convinced politicians who have done this all their lives, and they do a great job in many cases, but this was one they were going to, the Tax Reform Act of whatever year we want to put, okay? So they have the Tax Reform Act, and that was it. And now it was called the Tax Act, Tax Cut Act, and jobs. We had to add jobs into it because we're picking up tremendous number of jobs. 2.7 million jobs since the election. 2.7. So now people hear tax cuts, and it has been popular. Remember, it started off a little slow. Then it got passed, and we had some great help. I will say, we had some great help in the Senate, in the House. We have guys here today. We have a lot of congressmen. We have a lot of senators. We had a lot of help, and we got it passed. It was not easy. We didn't have one Democrat vote, and I think that's going to cost them in the midterms. I know that whoever wins the presidency has a disadvantage for whatever reason in the midterms. You know what happens? I'm trying to figure it out, because historically, if you win the presidency, you don't do well 2 years later. And you know what? We can't let that happen. And I know what happens. They finally figured it out. Nobody's been able to explain it. It just happens statistically almost all of the time for many years. What happens is you fight so hard to win the presidency. You fight. And now only 2 years. That's a very short period. And by the time you start campaigning, it's a year. And now you got to go and fight again. But you just won. So nobody has that same drive that they had. So you end up not doing that well because the other side is going, they're crazed. And by the way, they're crazed anyway, these people. They are really crazed. Right? So, because, I kept trying to say, why is this? But it's just there. So, the great enthusiasm, you're sitting back, you watch television, maybe I don't have to vote today, we just won the presidency, and then we get clobbered, and we can't let that happen. We get clobbered in 18, and we can't let that happen, only because we are so happy. We pass so many things. Honestly, and I'll use the word my administration as opposed to me. My administration, I think, has had the most successful first year in the history of the presidency. I really believe it. I really believe it.
Just joining us is live coverage of President Donald Trump speaking at CPAC this morning.
So, judges, regulations, everything. And the beautiful thing about the tax cuts is nobody thought we could do. Because, again, we had to get 100% of our vote. And nobody thought we could do. And frankly, to me, we got it, and it's turned out to be one of the most popular things. And by the way, for the Republicans in this room, of which I assume, would you say, is it 99%, Matt, or 100%? Huh? I would hope it's close to, you know what? Hey, we probably have some Democrats that want to come over. We have a great governor from West Virginia that left the Democratic Party, Big Jim, and he came over to the Republican Party. So people are sitting there, and they're saying, oh, we just had that great victory. Yeah, let's not vote. Let's go to a movie. The Republican Party, we're going to do great. And then they end up losing. So you got to keep up the enthusiasm. Now what happens, by the way, they lose. And then you have the presidential election coming up again. And you clobber them because everybody gets off their ass and they get out and they work. Right? And they work. And they work and work and work. And you end up winning the presidency again. And we should do that. Hopefully we're going to do that very easily. But never, we have to worry. Right now we have a big race coming up in 18. You have to get out. You have to just get that enthusiasm. Keep it going. See, the word really is complacent. People get complacent. It's a natural instinct. You just won, and now you're happy and you're complacent. Don't be complacent. Okay, don't be complacent, because if they get in, they will repeal your tax cuts. They will put judges in that you wouldn't believe. They'll take away your Second Amendment, which we will never allow to happen. They'll take away your Second Amendment.
Coverage as the president is delivering his speech to CPAC, Conservative Political Action Conference, this morning.
Remember that. They will take away, thank you, they will take away those massive tax cuts, and they will take away your Second Amendment. By the way, if you only had a choice of one, what would you rather have, the Second Amendment or the tax cuts? Go ahead. Second Amendment, tax cuts. Second Amendment. I'm going to leave it at the Second Amendment. I don't want to get into that battle, all right? We're going to say you want that. We're going to say you want the Second Amendment the most. But we're going to get them all. And remember this. Remember this. We've gotten, somebody got on television recently, and they said, actually, this is the first time I can remember Trump made campaign promises. He may be the only person that actually fulfilled more promises than he made. I think that's true. I fulfill more promises. But we have a very crooked media. We had a crooked candidate too, by the way. But we have a very, very crooked media. I will say this, folks. Everything that's turning out now, it's a come full circle. Boy, have they committed a lot of atrocities when you look. Right? When you look. Have they done things that are wrong? But remember this. Not only did we get the tax cuts, which everybody said we wouldn't get, and by the way, repealed in that tax cut the individual mandate, which is a tremendous thing. This is where you're forced to pay in order not to have health care, okay? Is that great? You pay for the privilege of not having health care. So you're subsidizing lots of other people. That's gone. I know people came up to me with tears in their eyes. They're saying, I'm forced to pay not to have health care. Very unfair. And by the way, we're having tremendous plans coming out now, health care plans, at a fraction of the cost that are much better than Obamacare. And except for one senator who came into a room at 3 o'clock in the morning and went like that, we would have had health care too. We would have had health care too. Think of that. But I think we may be better off the way we're doing it. Piece by piece by piece, Obamacare is just being wiped out. The individual mandate essentially wipes it out. So I think we may be better off. And people are getting great health care plans, and we're not finished yet. But remember, one person walked into a room when he was supposed to go this way, and he said he was going this way, and he walked in and he went this way, and everyone said, what happened? What was that all about? Boy, oh boy. Who was that? I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. I don't want to be controversial, so I won't use his name, okay? What a mess. But it's all happening anyway. It's all happening anyway. And we've, at the same time, eliminated a record number of job-killing regulations, and people are going back to work. Right? People are going back to work. So, and you know, the fake news always, if I say something that's like a little off, next day headline, he misrepresents. I have to be careful. But in the history of presidents, no president, and I'm saying no president, now maybe they'll find I was off by 2, but we're here 1 year. No president, well, I read it in lots of good papers actually, but they'll change the story when I say it. No president has ever cut so many regulations in their entire term, okay, as we've cut in less than a year.
Live coverage of President Donald Trump speaking at CPAC this morning.
Had as big an impact as these massive tax cuts that we've given. So I really believe we're. We've ended the war on American energy. We were in war. And we've ended the war on beautiful, clean coal, one of our great natural resources. And very important for our defense, coal. Very important for our defense, because we have it. We don't have to send it through pipes. We don't have to get it from foreign countries. We have more than anybody. And they wanted to end it. And our miners have been mistreated, and they're not being mistreated anymore. We're doing tremendous business. I was in Vietnam, and the Prime Minister and the President of Vietnam were there. And we have a massive deficit.
You're listening to the Jason Rand Show, live coverage of President Donald Trump delivering a speech to the Conservative Political Action Conference, sort of an extended edition of the What's Trending segment, which is powered by SunsetAutoFamily.com. We're going to take a 30-second break to help get you to work on time, and then we come back live to the speech. But quickly, here is a check on traffic.
We're seeing more people getting on the roads now that the sun is up and you can actually see the roads. Most of them are bare and dry. Not seeing any major ice patches anywhere, but we do have a few little problems. We've got what looks like a collision to me southbound on I-5 at 167 coming into Tacoma, partially blocking. We've got a stall on 516 eastbound right at I-5. It's blocking the right lane. And we've got a stall at the east end of the Mount Baker Tunnel on eastbound 90 blocking the right lane. None of these are causing any major problems, at least not yet. Yes, curbs are jammed up more than any of this. Traffic traffic brought to you by Walgreens. Switch your Medicare Part B prescription and save with copays as low as $0 on select plans with Tier 1 generics. Walgreens, trusted since 1901. That's AM 770 KTTH traffic.
You're listening to the Jason Rand Show. We continue our live coverage of President Donald Trump this morning as he speaks at the Conservative Political Action Conference.
Power. We knocked out the Paris Climate Accord. Would have been a disaster. Would have been a disaster for our country. Basically, it said, you have a lot of oil and gas that we found. You know, technology's been amazing. And we found things that we never knew. But we have massive, just about the top in the world. We have massive energy reserves. We have coal. We have so much. And basically, they were saying, don't use it. You can't use it. So what it does is it makes us uncompetitive with other countries. It's not going to happen. I told them, it's not going to happen. And you know, China, their agreement didn't kick in till 2030, right? Our agreement kicks in immediately. Russia, they're allowed to go back into the 1990s, which was not a clean environmental time. Other countries, big countries, India and others, we had to pay because they considered them a growing country. They were a growing country. So what are we? Okay, are we allowed to grow too? Okay, so are we allowed to grow? They called India a developing nation. They called China a developing nation. But the United States, we're developed, we can pay. So folks, if you don't mind, I tell you what, it's amazing how many people understood the Paris Accord. Because it sounds so good. It's like some of the environmental regulations that I cut. They have the most beautiful titles. And sometimes I say, look, I'm just going to close my eyes and sign this because you know what? I'm going to get killed on this one. And I get so much thanks. The country knows what I'm doing. We couldn't build. We couldn't farm. If you had a puddle in your land, they called it a lake for the purposes of environmental. I mean, it's crazy. It's crazy. And I signed certain bills, and I'd have farmers behind me, and I'd have house builders, home builders behind me. And these are tough people, strong people. They fought hard. They've worked all their lives hard. And there'd be half of them would be crying because we gave them their property back. We gave them the right to earn a living. They couldn't do it. They couldn't do what they had to do. We gave them their property back. We gave them their dignity back. By the way, you don't mind if I go off script a little bit, because, you know, it's sort of boring. It's sort of boring.
Media producers all over the world now getting ready to
beautiful speech.
cut up audio.
Everything's wonderful, but a little boring.
Joining us live for President Donald Trump as he's speaking this morning to CPAC.
And that's why our country's doing record business. We're doing record business. We're doing business, and you have to look at the fundamentals. Companies are pouring back into this country. They're pouring back. Not like, I mean, when did you hear about car companies coming back into Michigan and coming to Ohio and expanding? When did you hear? You never heard that. You hear they're leaving. I've been talking about it for 20 years. I was a private sector guy, but for whatever reason, I always had these guys always covered me much more than anybody else. I always got a lot of these characters. They used to treat me so good, too, until I ran for office. I used to get the greatest publicity. A friend of mine said, you know, you used to be the king of getting great publicity. What happened? I said, well, I have some views that they're opposed to for a lot of bad reasons. A lot of really bad reasons. But when you look at what's happening to our country, it's incredible. And the fundamentals are so strong. The stock market, I just see with all of the ups and downs since Election Day, is up 37% from election day. 37%. Now, it did a little bit of a correction. In fact, I started to say, you know, I was in it for like 13, 14 months from election. I say, is this sucker ever going down a little bit? This is a little embarrassing. It was up 100, up 200, up 1,000, up 150, up 90, up 63. I said, good, that's better. You know, hey, we've got 7 years to go, folks. You know, we got a long time to go. Thank you, everybody. You've been amazing. You've been amazing. You know what Matt didn't say? When I was here 2011, I made a speech, and I was received with such warmth. And they give, you know, they used to give, I don't know if Matt does that because he might not want to be controversial, but they used to give the best speech of CPAC. Do they do that still, Matt? Because you better pick me or I'm not coming back there. And I got these, they love that speech. And that was, I think, Matt, I would say that might have been the first real political speech that I made. It was a love fest, 2011, I believe, the time was. And a lot of people remembered, and they said, we won Trump. And after a few years, I go by and I say, here we are, let's see what we can do. And then everybody said, he cannot get elected. He cannot do it. You need 270 votes. You need electoral college, which, by the way, is much tougher than the popular vote. The popular vote, it would be so much easier. You go to 3 or 4 states and you just go and you just do a great job. Hillary forgot that. You know, she went to these states. I said, what's she doing? Why does she keep going back to California? Crazy. Next time they're going to remember Iowa. They're going to remember Ohio. Remember? They spent a lot of time in Pennsylvania to no avail. They spent a lot of money. In North Carolina, the great state of North Carolina. We did very well there. We have a great person in the room, Mark Meadows from North Carolina. He's around here. Where's Mark? And Deb. And we have Jim Jordan, Warriors all. We have a lot of great people here.
You're listening to live coverage of the president as he delivers his speech to CPAC on this Friday morning. But obviously, there are some of you who need to get to work on time. So we're going to take a quick traffic break and then come back live to the president's speech.
An accident near Tacoma southbound 5 at 167 has cleared. We have 2 stalls left over on 516 in Kent eastbound at I-5 block in the right lane. And eastbound 90 approaching midspan on the bridge. Right lane blocked here, and you're slow from the express lane. Not seeing any major backups, and travel times are looking absolutely great. We've got a 35-minute drive, Everett to Seattle, Everett to Bellevue, 37. Linwood to Bellevue, 25, and a 50-minute drive Tacoma to Seattle. This is brought to you by Walgreens. Switch your Medicare Part D prescriptions and start saving with copays as low as $0 on select plans with their Tier 1 generics. Walgreens, trusted since 1901. That's AM 770 KTTH Traffic. I'm Tammy Bennett.
You're listening to the Jason Rand Show. Usually at this time we're getting done with the big local, which is brought to you by Tulalip Resort Casino, but we return live to President Donald Trump as he speaks this morning at CPAC.
What's going on here, folks? I'm not signing. What's going on? They just kept going. Kerry may be the worst negotiator I've ever seen. How about this guy? And Obama, of course, he's the one. But how about 1.8 billion in cash? Did you ever see what, like $1 million in $100 bills? A lot of people do it as a promotion. It's a lot. It's big. It's like big. Now take that. Go to $1.8 billion in cash. 1.8 billion. For what? Why did we do this? Why did we do it? Anyway, we didn't certify, and lots of interesting things are happening with that whole mess. But we have to treat people that treat us well, we treat them well. People that treat us badly, we treat them much worse than they can ever imagine. That's the way it has to be. That's the way it has to be. officially recognized Jerusalem as the capital of Israel. Every president campaigned on, we're going to recognize Jerusalem as the capital of Israel. Everybody, for many presidents, you've been reading it. And then they never pulled it off. Convicted 1,200 gang members and nearly 500 human traffickers. You know what human trafficking, who would think that we have this in this age? And with our foreign partners, we've helped charge or arrest more than 4,000 members of the savage gang that we talked about, MS-13. Now, they don't like guns. You know why? They're not painful enough. These are animals. They cut people. They cut them.
You're listening to President Trump live now, speaking at CPAC. You are listening to the Jason Rand Show. We want to take a quick 30-second break to help get you to work the right way with Right Way Traffic, brought to you by the Online Trading Academy.
No accidents, no stalls, and travel times falling everywhere but Olympia to Tacoma. That's up 10 minutes to 41, and I'm not seeing a reason for that. There's no slowing that I can tell on the maps or the cameras. It gets a little bit slow coming into Fife from about Highway 16 up and over the Puyallup River Bridge. That shouldn't cost you much time, though. Neither should the slowdown on the Valley Freeway approaching 18. The S-curve's pretty darn jammed up from the Maple Valley Highway up in through Newcastle. You might want to stay right unless you're actively passing here. And we're still seeing congestion at the northbound 5 eastbound 90 junction because of an earlier problem on eastbound 90. Things are clearing out, but there's still a little congested. Not much left coming into King County from Snohomish, either South 5 or 405, though. And Everett to Seattle, 31 minutes. Tacoma to Seattle at 44. That's AM 770 KTTH traffic.
Attend a free power trading workshop. Text the word backup to the number 57682 to register for ongoing Bellevue workshops and a Silverdale workshop March 7th at the Best Western Plus Silverdale Beach. You're listening to the Jason Rand Show live on AM 770 KTTH, a special edition of What's Trending, powered by SunsetAutoFamily.com. We go back live to a speech by President Donald Trump this morning at CPAC.
48,000 for assault, 13,000 for burglary, and 1,800 for killing people. We're cracking down on sanctuary cities. Can you believe this? Where they protect. That's another one. Because we want our cities to be sanctuaries for law-abiding Americans, not for criminals. And by the way, the Senate Democrats and the House Democrats have totally abandoned DACA. They don't even talk to me about it. They have totally abandoned. You know, we get the reputation like DACA, it's not Republican. Well, let me tell you, it is Republican, because we want to do something about DACA, get it solved after all these years. The Democrats are being totally unresponsive. They don't want to do anything about DACA, I'm telling you, and it's very possible that DACA won't happen, and it's not because of the Republicans, it's because of the Democrats, and frankly, you better elect more Republicans, folks, or it'll never happen. Democrats voted in favor of sanctuary cities. In other words, they voted to protect criminal aliens instead of voting to protect the American citizens. To secure our country, we are calling on Congress to build a great border wall to stop dangerous drugs and criminals from pouring into our country. And now they're willing to give us the wall, but they don't want to give us any of the laws to keep these people out. So we're going to get the wall, but they don't want to give us all of the other chain migration, lottery. Think of a lottery. You have a country. They put names in. Do you think they're giving us their good people? Not too many of you people are going to be in a lottery. So we pick out people. Then they turn out to be horrendous. And we don't understand why. They're not giving us their best people, folks. They're not giving us, I mean, use your heads. They're giving us, it's a lottery. I don't want people coming into this country with a lottery. I want people coming into this country based on merit. Based on merit. I want people, and we all want to be admitting people who have skills, who can support themselves financially, who can contribute to our economy, who will love our people, and who will share our values, who will love our country. I don't want people who drive a car at 100 miles an hour down the West Side Highway and kill 8 innocent victims and destroy the lives of 14 more. Nobody talks about that. Nobody ever talks about the people that have been so horribly injured, who lose legs and arms. In Manhattan, where I used to spend my time, I know it very well, this stretch along the West Side Highway, people run in order to stay in shape. They want to be healthy. They want to look good. They run. They're running all the time. I see it. They run. We work in different ways, but they run. No, but think of this. They run, and they want to be fit. They're proud people. They want to be fit, and they're running up and down West Side Highway. It's beautiful. It's a beautiful thing. And this maniac takes a car going down the highway and just turns to it right, and he kills 8. But he really badly wounded 12 to 14 other people. So somebody think of it. Runs to stay in shape, leaves the house, is jogging along, working hard, ends up going home 2 months later with no leg, or with no arm, or with two legs missing. Nobody ever talks about them. They talk about the people, rightfully, that were killed. But they don't talk about the people whose lives have been just changed. They don't talk about that. This guy came in through chain migration and a part of the lottery system. They say 22 people came in with him. In other words, an aunt, an uncle, a grandfather, a mother, a father, whoever came in. But a lot of people came in. That's chain migration. Let's see how those people are doing, by the way. We've got to change our way. Merit system. I want merit system because you know what's happening? All these companies are coming into our country. They're all coming into our country. And when they come in, we need people that are going to work. I'm telling you, we need workers now. We need workers. But when I walked in today, did anyone ever hear me do the snake during the campaign? Because I had 5 people outside say, could you do the snake? And I said, well, people have heard it. Who hasn't heard the snake? You should read it anyway. He said, let's do it anyway. I'll do it. All right, should we do it? Now, this was a rock and roll song, little amendments, a rock and roll song. But every time I do it, people, and you have to think of this in terms of immigration. We have to have great people come into our country. I want people to come into our country. And I want people that are going to help us. And I don't want people that are going to come in and be accepting all of the gifts of our country for the next 50 years that do